Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Dude, what's up? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's almost summer, so we're getting there.
I like the warmer weather. I've never really been a cold weather person.
Oh, me either.
I mean, yes, I grew up in Kansas and spent a fair amount of time in Pennsylvania, but I think all that did was cure me.
No excuse for liking cold weather.
Oh, I can deal better with, okay, it doesn't have to be 105 degrees, but I can handle the heat way better than I can handle the cold.
Sure. And it will be 105 degrees. It just will.
Well,
for several months.
Yes. Well, God bless Texas and it's fantastic heat. Which is why I don't mind living here. I mean, the summers get kind of toasty. Or some of the memes, the sidewalk is melting.
Sure.
But
that's why they're concrete instead of asphalt.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I have friends, that are posting their November, December, January pics of the snow and all that, I'll take a picture of me out on a patio eating dinner saying, "Oh, I wish you were here." And then I get the one-fingered notoriety salute.
Sure. So what are we doing today?
Well, I get all kinds of stuff on my news feed. And I mean, I have what I guess you might call a very eclectic taste.
Sure.
In the stories and, with having gone through divorce and being remarried and a step parent, it's a lot of opportunity to be reminded of things. Okay. And because you think you do, you know what you're doing, you got an idea of what you're doing, but the one thing that comes into your life that is absent of an owner's manual, a to-do, how to handle list, are children.
Yes.
And knowing what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say, what to stress, what to less, all the different things. It is, bar none, a challenge.
Oh, of course.
And raising your own kids is tough. Raising or helping raise, stepchildren, that's even more, well, okay, didn't want to say tough, but I'm going to say more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Well, it comes with its own challenges, definitely.
True. And so I was scrolling through my news feeds of stories of all kinds of things, and this one caught my eye, as the ones that I usually use for our podcast do. And it came from an interesting website titled CreativeHealthyFamily.com.
Okay.
And in there, there was nothing revolutionary in what this person was saying in their blog. It wasn't something I'd never heard before, but I thought it hit me, I guess, at the right time. And I go, this might be a really wonderful reminder. My nieces and nephews are getting older. They're married. They're having kids. And sometimes you feel inclined to give a little advice.
Okay.
But then it's kind of like, whoa, be careful, because if there's one thing I have learned is that a lot of times parents don't like to be told how to parent their children.
No.
I know, surprise. I mean, I was surprised. My sisters, who sometimes listen, will definitely chime in that, yes, I was a parenting expert at 22, having never been married.
Well, everybody is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some teenagers that are parenting experts and they haven't even had any kids yet.
Well, fair enough. Right. Though I will say, I've had students that were raising their siblings.
Sure.
So maybe that might give them a different insight, but for the most part, they don't.
Right.
So, and I've recently been doing some research on on parenting, on divorce, and the choices that go into parenting after divorce. And so I think that all this kind of just hit me at a really interesting time where I was more open to these kinds of suggestions where I may have not in the past.
Sure.
And so I thought that's where we would go today.
Awesome.
So, like I say, that none of these are surprising, revolutionary, nothing like that. But what I liked is, again, it was kind of a nice little reminder of things that we can do as parents to be better parents, whether we got little kids, teenage kids, grown children.
All right. Hit me up.
Okay.
What do I do?
Okay. Well, just sit right back and hear a tale of a fateful trip. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's Gilligan's Island. Never mind.
We don't have 3 hours.
All right. Well, one of the things that they suggested, and again, they had a variety, and so these are in no particular order, but the one was talking about being empathetic with your children, putting empathy kind of at the front of what you're doing, how you talk to them, how you engage with them.
Sure.
And I'm going to go back and reference my childhood growing up, and I felt that my parents really did a nice job. My mom, in particular, knew how to balance being firm with being gentle.
Okay.
And so they were saying that, in essence, how you respond. One of the things that they put in here was put yourself in the kids' shoes.
Okay.
Look at it from their point of view. They're 5, they're 12, they're 17. And if you look at it maybe from their perspective, their point of view, maybe you can kind of see where they were coming from when they did whatever it is they did. And maybe it was they broke a house rule, maybe they disobeyed, maybe they're, I don't know, breaking up with that first love. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, I could see, we can all remember when we were younger and kind of look through that perspective. So I definitely have that. I see that with students, right? There's things that students do that's like, okay, so hang on a second, because I used to do that when I was a student, right? So, we can recognize those things and maybe have a little bit more, consideration for what they're going through and understanding.
And I think that sometimes as an adult hard to do, to remember to put ourselves back in time.
Yeah, well, we have the benefit of all the experiences that we went through, and so we just look at those kinds of things and say, well, that was stupid. Why did you do such a stupid thing? Well, the reason is because you don't have all the experiences and stuff that we have.
Yeah, they didn't know it was stupid.
Right.
And, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Unless you're, filming one of those crazy movies, you don't do stupid on purpose, right?
Yeah.
You do stupid because you didn't realize it was stupid until after you did it.
Yeah, and you're going, man, that was dumb.
Right.
So I like that. I like the idea that kind of just take a deep breath and, sit with the kid, talk to him. Tell me, why'd you do this?
Sure.
Tell me how you feel. And again, put yourself back when you were that age. What would you have done? Would have been the same thing?
Probably.
Yeah. I look back on my childhood and I had a really good, again, benefit of hindsight. I felt like I had a really good childhood. A lot of things that I feel sad that many kids today don't get.
I did too, but I got up in the morning and I disappeared for most of the day, and then I went home. And the time that I was with my parents, I probably didn't do stupid things. But the majority of the day, I was not with my parents, and I did plenty of stupid things.
Oh,
I did plenty of things that shouldn't have been done, but you learn from those, I suppose. But you have to let children do some things that they can learn from. Like, how are we learning anything if we don't make mistakes?
I ding, 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 ding. Totally agree. And it is, how should you say? You got to fail.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they make another suggestion. They were saying set reasonable, age appropriate boundaries.
Okay.
And I mean, I always said with Eric, okay, one of the responsibilities, one of the things I said was that before we play with a new toy, we got to clean up and put the old toy away.
Sure.
And I felt that was, that was something that at 3, at 4, at 5, he could do.
Yeah, I think so.
And whenever he disagreed or would throw a temper tantrum, it's kind of like, sit on the couch,
sure,
sit in the chair, and when you're ready to be reasonable, we'll talk. Calm down, and we'll revisit and start again.
I've seen my daughter with her son do the very same thing. Right? Clean up that toy, then we can play with this one. Clean up that game, and then we'll play this game. Clean up that game, and then you can play a video game. I mean, you just being responsible with the resources you have.
Well, exactly. And I mean, give them chores, but yeah. And I mean, it's not like he can do the dishes, run the vacuum sweeper, but he can clean up his toys.
But I think at 5, there's certain things you can do, right? You can actually run a vacuum.
Really?
Sure.
Oh, I'm good. I'm glad my mother didn't hear this when I was 5.
Now, are you going to do it right? Probably not. But having the experience of actually doing it, maybe having you be less afraid of the vacuum.
I had one of those poppers.
Can they help do dishes? Sure. I mean, I had my grandson helping me cook baked cookies at 2 years old.
Okay.
I mean, there's some things you can do that are fun. They can't do it on their own.
Fair point.
But they can learn something.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and that would be, you can teach anything, and kids will suck it up and, I mean, absorb it, not like suck it up, buttercup, but they'll absorb what you're trying to. So again, I think age appropriate boundaries, where you can go, when you can go. I mean, for me, it was
nowhere, never.
Well, no, my mom was happy to kick my butt out of the house, get out of the house. And I mean, we could ride bikes. I remember being real little and had that bike at age 5.
Sure.
And my boundaries were I could ride, from this neighbor's house to that neighbor's house, which was basically within eye shot. My mom could look out the front porch and, hey, okay, there you are. And, it wasn't too bad. And as I got older, well, then you could ride from one end of the block to the other, because our house was in the middle of the street. And there was probably about 10 houses on either side, going up to the end of the one street or down to the other end. And so it was kind of nice. And as we got older, well, you got different boundaries, different responsibilities. But yeah, be home when the street light is on. You don't have to be in the house, but you got to be in the yard.
That was common back in the day.
Yeah.
Not so much nowadays.
I think somebody took out the street light in our neighborhood.
Kids can't get off of their phones. So
to even know that it's. I've really been seeing some interesting stuff where parents are, or some of the research is showing that parents need to help control or monitor the screen time. Here's a chore. I think we even did an episode on this a while back with a chore chart, where so many, you get so many minutes of screen time based on which chore you do. And I think that's kind of cool. I think that I've got one nephew that he is a sophomore in high school, and it's technology. He's on his phone 24/7. And if he's not on his phone, he's on his laptop. And his little brother, he's willing to get off that phone to play a game, to color, to do different things. And I kind of like the idea of, less is more. But hey, you know what?
I mean, if we're talking about what would I've done at their age, I mean,
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
we would have been all over that phone all the time.
Well,
Had we had those, but we didn't. I
I
mean, I was all over my actual phone with massive phone bills, calling, my wife and stuff. So,
see now I had those handheld computer games,
mm-hmm.
whether they might be football or baseball, playing those games. But my parents would, hey, time limit.
Sure.
You've been playing on that enough. Put it away. Go do something else. Go read a book. Go outside.
Yep.
So, because that's, as long as it's age appropriate and boundaries within reason, and explaining what those boundaries are. For example, explaining why.
Mm-hmm.
Why you have the boundaries. Hey, look, I don't want you to spend all this time on your phone because it hurts your eyes.
Right.
I don't want you to spend all this time playing video games because you need to expand and know how to do more things. I want you to be able to read too.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do 30 minutes of video games, then you got to do 30 minutes of reading. Explain why. Explain the reason for the boundaries that you give them.
Yes.
Don't just tell your kids because I said so.
But that was always the best reason.
I learning now, the reason was mom and dad couldn't come up with a better reason.
Right, but now I like to use that reason. It was used on me. Why can't I use it on them?
Well, you can. Absolutely you can, but I think it's harder to get them to buy in.
Well, my kids are all adults, so I can't use that anymore anyway. But
oh, okay.
In fact, my say-so doesn't really matter for the most part. So,
Well, okay, fair point. And but when Charlie gets a little older or you add more grandchildren, they're going to be saying the same thing. Well, why? Why do I have to do that?
No, I don't. I'm a grandparent. I shouldn't get those questions. I just get, here's some ice cream. Want to have some ice cream with me? I don't care what you did. Let's have some ice cream.
Okay.
Right? And you can go home to mom and you can tell her, yeah, I did this and grandpa gave me ice cream. All right.
Gotcha.
That's my job.
Oh, well, fair point. I have no idea what it'll be.
We'll do a new episode about how to be a grandparent.
Ooh, good. One day I hope to be a grandparent. But
it's easy.
Is it?
It is.
Okay. So Les, I told you so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that ties, I guess, in with something else that they suggest. And that is, it's okay to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many times as a parent do we say no?
Yeah. Well, if everything's no, then, they're going to stop asking. They're just going to do.
Okay, fair point. And if they stop asking, then would it be fair to say that it's harder to know what they're up to, what they're doing?
Sure. Unless you're following their phone.
Yeah. I've got another article I found about cell phone use and parents tracking.
Later, right?
Yeah. But, a lot of times, saying yes to a little bit of junk food,
sure.
Saying yes to...
Heck, I do that for myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why
Yes.
Well, we'll just leave it at that. But saying yes instead of no. Well, can we do this? Well, no, not now. Well, maybe later.
Sure.
Well, saying yes to, can we play a game night? Sure. When would you like to do it?
Right.
Hey, can we watch this movie together? Sure. Would you, hey, can I go to the movies? Yeah. In fact, how about, what if we made it a family thing?
Sure.
Saying yes.
They won't want to go then.
Well, hey, but you said yes, right?
Of course, that all depends on their age.
Okay, true. But they come out with some good movies. They got a new Kung Fu Panda 4.
Sure.
They got kid movies that, frankly, as an adult, I like to go see.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to hijack some of my younger nieces and nephews just so that I don't look like that creepy guy sitting in the movie theater.
Right.
So yeah, saying yes can be nice. Relax the rules once in a while.
Yeah.
When appropriate.
I agree.
Now here's one that I struggle with, and I think it's a family thing. And it said their suggestion was raise your words, not your voice.
Okay.
And when I read that, I go, oh, good gosh. I struggle with this. When I get pissed, I get loud. When
Okay.
you get loud in response to my getting loud, I get even louder. And I feel like in our family, it was growing up, everybody would be talking, there'd be discussion going back and forth. And whoever yelled the loudest, the longest was the winner.
So I totally understand the loudness issue. What does raise your words mean?
Okay. So I was worried. I didn't understand what they meant by that. But kind of holding your temper, using, this is what I said. Instead of raising your voice, reiterate kind of what you're saying. What
Okay,
is
so we're just emphasizing the actual words and the content rather than
yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
our anger into it and making it more about how angry we are than about the actual words.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're saying.
Yes. So
Okay.
when you're raising your words, you're emphasizing, this is what I said. This is why I want you to do this. And I don't.
So I like that. It's coming back to reasoning rather than anger.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And oh, good gosh. In the classroom, I struggle with this.
Yeah.
There would be times with Eric, and
But your voice is always loud in the classroom.
Okay.
But
that is true.
Right. But you're not angry.
Not always, no.
Right.
No, I am trying a newer approach of, I'm going to talk quieter.
Right.
And that throws them for a loop.
I didn't mean to cut off your struggle with Eric.
Oh, no, but I would struggle with him sometimes because he would wear me out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, ugh. And in the frustration, you blow a gasket.
Sure.
And I that has been, when I get angry, my volume increases by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
And as they said, and we've talked before, that when you raise your voice, when you get yelling, well, nobody's going to listen. Their defense mechanisms go up. I mean, when somebody yells at me,
yeah, it's useless, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to shut down.
I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear and somebody yelling at them for any reason. That's why it doesn't work in the workplace. It doesn't work at home. It doesn't work as teachers. It doesn't work with anybody, right? Like you're just creating an environment where everybody's going to be ticked, and nobody's going to accomplish anything.
No,
doing something. We all have a breaking point, right? And kids. I mean, have you ever watched the what is it, that Family Guy episode with the young child there that's mom, mommy, mommy, mom, just like, and it's like 15 minutes of this. And I wanted to punch the TV. I mean, we all have a breaking point, and one of the skills as a parent is to, get to that point, but not break. It's very difficult, right? To be able to come back and do that thing where you're saying you raised your words and come back to reason and try to get through it. And then, you might have to have a cooling off period between the two parties, the child and the parent. But it is so difficult, right? If you're a parent, you will hit the breaking point more frequently than you would like to.
And that's where I was.
But you have to control it.
Oh, amen. And that's what I liked about this. And when it's hit, I felt like it was talking to me. Because I blow a gasket. And I feel like a lot of times, like a volcano, I'll get a build, boom.
Right.
And then once I'm done, then it's kind of like I'm super calm and I'm way more rational. And then I realize, what the heck did I just do?
Yeah.
And well, then you're back into damage control.
So like my explosive dishwasher episode where nothing matters there, but I made a huge deal of it. So, and I actually told my wife recently how to load something in the dishwasher, and she just looked at me and laughed. We had a good laugh, and I went on. But I'll defend myself. What I was saying made sense, and she knows it, but it's okay. I'm still, pushing my dishwasher skills.
Well, I applaud you. Maybe you could come to my house and practice teaching through demonstration how to load our dishwasher.
No, I'm sorry.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm not going
to. I mean, I would let you.
No, I try not to do it at my house. It just comes out every once in a while.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, another on this list, and this is something that I found myself even sharing with the kids in class. Treat your children the way you would want them to treat others. The old golden rule. And I feel like sometimes, and I forget this, but I'm trying to do better of talking to my students and telling them, well, okay, why don't you leave by cleaning up after yourself? Well, you're leaving it for the next group of people, because would you want to come into a mess? Would you want to come in and see your seat trashed?
No.
So do unto others as you would want them to do unto you.
Sure.
And so the whole golden rule, I think, is really fantastic. And it's this golden rule, not the he with all the gold makes the rules golden rule.
Right. So I think that a huge part of parenting has nothing to do with words. It actually has to do with actions.
Okay.
It has to do with, what do you do? What kind of an example are you being in front of your children?
Okay.
To your children. And so, being an example of somebody that does things like apologizes if they're wrong is okay.
Okay.
Somebody who keeps their temper under control, or at least when they rise to that point, shows them how to deal with that, like by maybe having a cooling off period. I need to go into another room for a few minutes, whatever. And, those kinds of things, doing the dishes, cooking the meals, vacuuming the floor, keeping your room clean, keeping your house clean. Any of those things are actions that we do that children notice, and it automatically kind of becomes part of their life, at least hopefully.
Okay. That kind of makes sense, because they follow that on, and this is something that I try to practice in the classroom, and that's about respect.
Yeah.
Respect is earned. It's not freely given by either side.
Mm-hmm.
And so by showing respect,
I don't know if I agree with that, but
you can force somebody to respect you.
Oh, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I think that respect doesn't necessarily have to be earned. That everybody should be respected at first, and then if you want to lose my respect, you can do that.
Okay.
But like when I meet a student on the first day, I'm going to respect them right away.
Okay.
I'm not going to require them to earn it. However, if you want to act like a bonehead right away, you can start losing my respect really fast.
Okay. I see what you're saying. That makes sense. Because I think that, there might be some people that
then you might have to earn it back.
Okay, fair point. Okay, but I won't disagree with you.
But I see what you're saying.
Right. I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but just differently. And
I mean, like, I know that for your practice, right? Like, you don't want cell phones in your classroom, so you don't use yours.
No.
When the students are present.
No.
And so, that's a huge respect thing for that you have with them, and you expect them to have that same respect for you, that this is class time. We don't look at our phones.
Yeah.
And I admire that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm not as addicted to it as they are.
Sure.
So. All right. Now, this next one is a toughie.
Okay.
And it's talking about discipline.
Okay.
And their argument is you discipline the action, not the child. And I think part of this comes down to, and we did one a long time ago about discipline. And I refer back to my parents, and they were really, really good at this. because I was not a model child. And so I would push a lot of buttons, but rather than spank me right away,
Mm-hmm.
they would send me to my room.
Yeah.
And they would go, I want you to think about what you did,
Isn't
why
that
it
the
was
worst?
wrong, and what kind of punishment you deserve.
Oh, that's the worst. You always give yourself the worst punishment.
Oh, bar none.
Way,
Bar none.
way worse than they would do.
But I realized as I got to be an adult and became a parent, well, the idea, it was less about the punishment and me coming up with something harsher and this, that, and the other. It was more about allowing them to calm down.
Sure.
So that when the discipline did come, it came at a point where they had calmed down.
Right.
And they were able to do just that, discipline the action, and rather than smack me upside the butt
Mm-hmm.
and discipline the child.
Yeah.
And we always had a conversation about, okay, what is it that you did? Why was it wrong? What could you have done better?
Right.
And so we were, again, like they were saying here, you're reasoning with them, you're explaining, you're teaching, you're keeping that respect, you're keeping your temper under control. I mean, of course, always the worst was you go to your room and you wait for your father to come home.
Right.
And of course, that was the worst. Because you're right, the anticipation was worse than the punishment itself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my wife used to do that too. I mean, she would tell them, well, we'll just wait for your dad. And they hated that because my punishment was much more difficult than my wife's punishments.
Oh, definitely, my dad was too.
They didn't like that. So, but that kept them from doing some things, I think. But yeah, I think it's absolutely right. Like you can't just continue to associate the action with as being the kid, right? Like you're addressing the action, but once the discipline is over, it's over.
Yeah.
You can put it in the past and move forward. And I think some people or some parents like to not forget, right? And just keep and just keep at it. And just keep at it. No, yesterday you did this. And it's like, but you already punished me for that. I already had the discipline for that. Why am I having to do it again? And if you keep antagonizing the child with that same thing over and over and over, more than likely, I think, and I don't have any research to back it up, but in my own personal experience, you're probably going to get that action more and more.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I'm going to, and I experienced this as a student in middle school, like I was getting in trouble for things that I didn't even do. Right. So eventually it was like, well, I might as well get in trouble for something I do.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm going to keep being in trouble, then I might as well be in trouble for something that's worth it to me.
Very good. And yeah. So, like I say, none of these are revolutionary. None of these are surprising. I think all parents do these things to various degrees of success. And I just felt that it was, I don't know, to revisit, to kind of talk about and discuss, because sometimes, again, it might just hit you at the right time where you're more open and you're going, okay, here we go.
Parenting is hard, and I think any suggestions that people who have been through parenting can give is good. But ultimately, you have to do what works for you.
Yeah.
As a parent, I mean, there's thousands of books. I mean, this is probably one of the most talked about subjects in the book world. You can go to any bookstore and find shelves and shelves and shelves about parenting. From all the experts, and you could grab any two books and you're going to get the opposite opinions. So this is just one of those things where you have to find things that actually work for you and your child.
Yeah.
And then stick with it.
Yeah, because Sherry's told me time and again that the oldest child was way different than the youngest child.
And that's a hot topic among children is how come you did that with Johnny when I didn't get that? Well, you're two different people, right? So it has to be handled differently. And, unfortunately, they won't really understand that until they have 2 children.
Yes.
But, that's just how it is. It's complicated.
Yeah, it really is.
Kudos to everybody that does it.
And that's a lot of us.
That is.
So, well, listen, that's all I got. So thank you for indulging me.
It's awesome. Good topic.
Okay, well, then I guess it's time to go home and talk to our children.
Okay, mine aren't there because they're adults, but.
Well, neither are mine. All right, but anyway, well, then until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
Bye.
Bye-bye.